Okay, so joining me on the show today is Reid Birlingmair. First of all, Reid, thank you for coming on the show. How have you been doing?
Thanks for having me. Been doing well. Just trying to stay in shape, obviously, and getting my throwing in and whatnot, and working when I have time. So other than that, I've been healthy and no problems with my arm or my body. So that's a positive. So
Yes, that is always good to hear. So, we can start with that. How has it been being a professional athlete? You can introduce yourself in a moment, but I'm just very curious how it's been being a professional athlete in quarantine. You don't, for a lot of people, you haven't had fields even to go play on sometimes. So, how has that been trying to keep in shape while a lot of things are shut down?
yeah, it was when this was all first going on. It was really hard, because all the gyms closed and they weren't letting anybody on, local fields and stuff like that. So I was lucky enough to kind of have a connection with an owner of an indoor facility here in town in Normal, Illinois, and I was just kind of getting my throwing in there, throwing in the net. But other than that, just it's been something I've never experienced. Obviously, you're on your own schedule every day. There's no one there telling you what to do or kind of holding your hand, or you kind of make your own schedule and have to adjust accordingly. But I've still been able to get my throwing in. Recently, since the gyms have been backed up, I've been in a gym twice a week for total body lifts, and then other than that, I've been doing live ABs once a week against two other local professional hitters, and then there's one other local professional pitcher who also jumps in with me. But we've been doing that at the Corn Crib in Normal, Illinois, which is used to be an independent league baseball field. Now it's a college league baseball field. So that's been nice. But like I said, it's nothing I've ever experienced, and there's been ups and downs, but I'm just grateful to be healthy, and my arm feels good, and my body feels good, so I can't really complain.
That's true. So you mentioned you're from Normal, Illinois. So if you just want to walk us through, right now you're a pitcher in the A's organization. So walk us through how you got from Normal, Illinois to where you are today.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Normal. Normal, Illinois is like right smack dab in the middle of Illinois. And then went to Normal West High School. Out of there, I wasn't really a high recruit. I kind of had two or three options of where I wanted to play baseball. So I walked on to UIC, which is the University of Illinois Chicago, in the city in Chicago. So that was a really fun experience. I got to walk on there, and then I ended up earning some money right away as a freshman. And then I played 3 years there, was a starting pitcher mostly, and then got drafted my junior year by the A's. And that's kind of where I am today. This was supposed to be my third year playing. So I was in Vermont, and then last year was my first full season in Beloit, and then this year I was kind of assigned unofficially to the Stockton Ports. So was looking forward to that, but things happen, and here we are.
So how much communication have you had with the A's minor league program? Because I've talked to some other minor leaguers, and especially when they were walking up to the minor league baseball season when it got canceled, a lot of people really didn't hear anything. So were you doing Zoom sessions with your coaches? Were you doing stuff like that? Or was it kind of just the way you've been most of quarantine where you were on your own?
Um, Before they furloughed some of our staff, we were in contact with like a trainer, and then a weightlifting coach about every other week, and then we were also in contact with an assigned pitching coach. So I was in contact with a pitching coach from the Stockton Ports. But then once they made some furloughs, the only person they gave us a list of some people we could talk to or contact, and then every day we text our pitching coordinator kind of what we did for that day as far as throwing. And then it's like every 3 weeks, they'll have a medical coordinator call us and kind of check in on us, make sure we're doing okay. So other than that, it's pretty quick dialogue. I just kind of text, what I did for that day, and it's usually a thanks or a gotcha or nice or so it's very limited. We really haven't heard much as far as a game plan going forward. All we were told is earlier on we were told, there might be a fall, they might have something for us in the fall, but they haven't said anything at all about that since the cases have gone up in Arizona. So that's not looking very bright, I guess. But other than that, it's just, the text messages to the coordinator, and then, he kind of lays out how many innings, simulated innings we're supposed to get in per week. So I think he had me close to 100 innings for this season that I'm supposed to be getting in. So I'm just throwing 3 innings a week right now. And then like a bullpen session. But other than that, that's kind of all the communication we're having right now.
So since, even in high school, I feel like you get a lot more communication than that because you see coaches every day. So is it kind of frustrating to, for the first time in a long time, not have like consistent interaction with coaches, let alone other players, where you get the bonding, you get the friendships there as well. But has it been a little frustrating to not have that?
Yeah, it has, honestly. I'm not going to sit here and lie. It's kind of frustrating, just driving around town, even seeing all these, little league teams playing. And, there's
Yeah.
a collegiate league here in town that's actually been playing a 4-team league. So just, seeing them get to play, and then, just the situation minor leaguers in right now, where there is no option. Independent ball is one thing if you want to play that, but I decided I didn't want to go that route and just kind of stay on what I've been doing with just, getting my own work in with the other pro guides here in town. But it is a little frustrating, I'll have to say. But, what can you do at the end of the day? So,
is there any reason you decided not to play independent ball?
That's pretty much hurt or sick. That's pretty much the only reason I did it. And then I heard unofficial rumors that if you got hurt playing independent ball, your club didn't have to technically, pay for surgery or whatever, or didn't really even have to take you back.
Okay.
So I heard a bunch of different rumors, and I didn't even want to take the chance on that. I get to face some live, talented pro hitters here in town once a week. So, I get feedback that way.
So when all of the struggle was going on, I don't necessarily need you to comment on it, but how did you perceive it as affecting minor league players when the major league players and the owners were struggling over money and health protocols and things like that? From a minor leaguer's perspective, were you looking at it like, why aren't they talking about us? Or what was kind of your perspective? Because they were fighting about a season, and then once they agreed on that, they're like, oh, by the way, minor leaguers aren't going to play. So what was your perspective kind of watching all of that?
Right. Well, some of the first thoughts I had were, if it's this hard for them to kind of figure out what they're doing with the MLB, I can't imagine how hard it would come up, to come up with something for the minor leaguers, when you're traveling all over the country on short cut budgets. And, honestly, I'm just grateful that the A's decided to pay us the $400 a week through the end of the season. So that helps a ton, and I'm very grateful for that. But, as far as, I don't know, I don't even know how they would, go about, getting a season going for the minor leaguers. But I kind of wish there was something. Anything is really better than nothing at this point. But I think it would have been really hard for all the logistical things that goes into a full minor league season, or even half a minor league season. It's a lot. So I didn't get too much into it, but I just kind of sat there and realized, if it's this tough for the major leagues to get a season going, I can't imagine a minor league season going. And I think a lot of minor leaguers kind of had the same thoughts. And at that point we realized, there's probably not going to be a season.
So you mentioned the $400 a week, which has been a large point of contention, especially among the Oakland A's. So have you had to work at all outside of that? Because I know even personally, I get paid around $400 a week with my summer job right now. It's not a lot.
Right.
So obviously I don't know your living situation, your financial situation, but have you had to work at all outside of that?
Yeah, I do. Where I give youth pitching and hitting lessons
Okay.
at the local facility I also work out at. So I just do that in the afternoons. I work out in the morning, then I'll do, anywhere from 2 to 4 hours of lessons, per day, Monday through Friday. So that, keeps me on my feet. And I enjoy doing it. So that's about the only other work I'm doing right now. And I also do that in like the winter, usual off season.
Okay.
Probably going to end up doing that up until spring training, if there is one. So,
Yeah. How'd you get into that?
just I don't know. There's the facility owner. We're pretty good friends. He's kind
Okay.
of under his wing and giving me lessons of his own, early on in college. And then he kind of asked me if I was interested in giving youth lessons and making some money. So he's taken care of me and, gone about it that way. So.
Has that helped your game at all? I mean, because you teach things to younger players. Have you ever had a moment where you're teaching something, you're like, wait a second, I don't even do this really well, or something like has it helped your game at all?
A little bit, because when you're out there on the mound, you're basically your own pitching coach. You're at this
Right.
level where the pitching coach will make mound visits, but he's not going to sit there and talk about mechanics. It's more mindset. But so yeah, I mean there are moments when I'm like, I'm teaching a kid something. I'm like, wait, why don't I think this when I'm on the mound making this? Do I think this, or is it just natural? But that's a good point. Yeah, I have honestly done that at some points during my lessons, and it's kind of caught me off guard. So,
So I mean, with all of that, how long have you been doing the coaching?
I started last winter.
Okay. So have you ever thought about, once you're done playing baseball, whenever that is, have you ever thought about actually coaching?
That has run through my mind. I definitely, I think I would want to start, at the collegiate level. I don't know if
Yeah.
I work with kids all the time. I kind of want to work with higher level athletes. The thought has run through my mind, probably starting in college and then kind of working my way from there. But, at this point, I really don't know what exactly I want to do after baseball. I don't know if I want to go back to school and get a master's or something like that, because I still do have some tuition money left from the A's. So
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't know.
So, Reid, that is something I'm always interested in, because whenever you interview an athlete, like, we want to talk about the sport the most, but what are you interested in outside of baseball? Like, what did you major in college? Let's say if something unfortunate happened, you had to stop playing baseball today, what would be the path that you would go down?
Ooh, that's a good question. So in college, my freshman and sophomore year, my major was nursing. And that's something I
Okay.
really wanted to do, was be a registered nurse after college. But after my sophomore season, I kind of came to the realization that I had a pretty good chance of getting drafted the next year. So at that point, I just changed my major into something a little easier on me, so I
Yeah.
could focus a little more on baseball. And nursing was really taxing on me.
Yeah.
So I mean, I actually got into the nursing program, which would have started my junior year, but I decided to drop out, and then I majored in psychology at UIC.
Okay.
And then I was obviously drafted my junior year, and so I went to the A's, and then I actually enrolled in a program at Northeastern University in Boston.
Yeah.
It's the preferred provider for the MLB partnership they have. So they're kind of the university that the MLB is trying to kind of push for. So it's all online classes there. And then I finished with a degree in liberal studies with a minor in psychology. So at this point, I can kind of go any route I want. It's kind of a non-specific major.
Yeah.
So I don't, if my season ended today, like my career, I'd have to give it some thought, honestly.
Yeah.
I'd want to stay in the game, but I don't know how I would want to at that point. I'd probably either go back to school and get a more specific, degree, and then kind of go from there. So that's a good question. I don't even know myself.
So I'm going to throw out a suggestion here for you, and feel free to shoot me down. But since you mentioned nursing, and obviously you have a love for baseball, what about being a baseball trainer?
Yeah, that's a hard job.
Oh, it is.
Seeing the hours they work, especially college, like college athletic trainers are the first ones
Yeah.
there, the last ones to leave. And it's kind of like that, honestly, in pro ball too, where, those guys they're kind of the backbone of the whole squad. And, they really work hard and have some long hours. And, I don't know exactly how much money they make or any of that, but,
Yeah.
just knowing how hard of a job it is, I'd consider it, but I don't know if I'd want to do that my whole life.
That's fair. That was the first thing that popped into my head, so I figured I'd ask. But it really is amazing. You're right. The amount of people that go into not even just a professional day of baseball, but even a collegiate day of baseball, there's so many people that go into making it run smoothly, making sure everybody's okay, and all of that. It's amazing to think about, because you just watch a game on TV, you go to a game, even when you're playing, you probably don't even realize it fully. But when you look at it, there's so many people that go into that. It's kind of interesting to think about.
Right. Absolutely.
So the next thing I kind of want to look at is I enjoy asking people for a favorite story. So this can be from your college days, this can be from minor leagues, even high school if you want to. But Reid, give me a story that somebody wouldn't necessarily be able to know by Googling you or something like that. So a favorite moment, whether that be an interaction you had on the field, something in the clubhouse, a post-game dinner, something like that.
Ooh, good question. Well, in college, I was actually recruited as a two-way player.
Okay.
So when I went through the recruiting process, I really wanted to be a hitter more than anything, and then kind of pitching was kind of my second option. So when I went through the recruiting process, UIC kind of said, "Hey, we'll let you try out both," and I kind of liked that about them, and that's ultimately why I ended up going there. But within that first fall, I kind of started having little arm problems from doing, middle infield work and trying to do all my pitching stuff.
Yeah.
But they kind of saw that I had a really strong arm and I was kind of, projectable a little bit pitching wise. And I kind of, went up to the hitting coach and said, "Hey, can I, get scheduled more for pitching practices more than hitting?" And, he was at that point, he was like, "Yeah, you know what, we're thinking the same thing. Let's just kind of go with that for now." And then after that, I just kind of stuck with pitching and never really looked back. So, I do miss hitting, and, I always joke about, wanting to be drafted, to the NL so I could hit, but now there's a DH, so it doesn't really matter. So, here we are.
So what do you think, having played baseball at a higher level, what do you think of the guys like Shohei Otani? And I want to say there's another guy for the Angels. I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but the guys who can truly play both ways and hit and pitch, because that is really hard to do at a high level.
Yeah, it's unbelievable how good hitters are, and how disciplined you have to be in it to do both hitting and pitching. I can't imagine how taxing that would be on your body, especially the pitching side. My body's taxed at least 2 days after my starts, and just for him to be able to obviously hit, and then you have to take reps, go to little practices and
right,
BP stuff like that, fielding practice. That would be a lot. Those guys are busy guys, I assume. And I think the other one, there's one for the Rays, Brendan McKay, I think is another one, left-handed guy. Yeah, he's pretty good too. So yeah, I can't imagine doing that.
So I think the last question I have for you, Reid, is, obviously your goal is to make it to the major leagues. But for people who haven't watched you play, I want to give you a little bit of time to brag on yourself. So again, obviously you want to make it to the major leagues, but if you had to describe yourself as a player to everybody listening, what kind of pitches you got, what kind of pitcher you are, the mentality you have on the mound, describe yourself for people listening who have never actually seen you play.
Okay. I've been described kind of as being tenacious, being a bulldog. Last year, especially early in the season, my stuff wasn't very good. And then I made some, adjustments at the All-Star break, and I had a really, really good second half. My changeup's my best pitch by far. My fastball has increased in velocity. I went to Driveline this past off season and trained there and got some tips there and to increase my velo, and I've made some strides there, and kind of sitting 93, 94, and then the highest I've been up to this off season was 98, and prior to that the highest I've ever hit was 96. So I was really looking forward to a big season this year. I added a curveball to my arsenal, so right now I'm a 4-seam, 2-seam, changeup, curveball, and then kind of a little cutter slider thing. So I was looking forward to having a big year this year and being out in California, but things happen. So.
Yes. Well, Reid, thank you very much for joining us on the show. This has been a lot of fun for people listening. Also, I'm going to do a little bit of a feature piece on Reid. So depending on when this comes out, make sure to check out that article as well. And once again, Reid, thank you for coming on the show.
I appreciate it. It was fun. Thank you.